Welcome to Corzeons. Today, on our Season 2 premiere, we're going back to Silent Hill. What? No toys? Fuck yourself. I'm holding a microphone that's not plugged in. This is how the sausage is pooped. Yes. So welcome. Be prepared. Do not be scared at all, because I'm just talking about video games and we're not even playing them. It's just, kind of spooky. They're scary games, but whatever. Anyway! Today, right before Halloween, we return with our first brand new episode of Corzeons.
Welcome to Corzeons! Just in time for Halloween! Ooh, and what better to discuss than some spooky, ooky, booky, dooky, ooky, ooky, pooky, wooky video games? Yes. Retro video games, in fact. How old are you? I'm pretty old, apparently. Both these games, Silent Hill 4 and Silent Hill 2, came out on the PlayStation 2 and have, subsequent releases since. Silent Hill 4, I think in 2004, and Silent Hill 2 in 2001. Never forget, folks. Yes, as you can see, we have a bit of a little cute decoration event going on in our studio in honor of Halloween. I love Halloween, so I may or may not be wearing costumes throughout this episode. We'll see. And other than some knickknacks and shit, I don't have any Halloweeny toys, so we're talking about scary video games. I'm scared. Are you? So, without further... Oh, shit. Not too tall? It's pretty tall. But I'm a tall guy. I think you know that about me, baby. What? What's that? You want to whisper something in my ear? What? What? You slut. I love it. Call me later, after the episode's done. Once you wake up. I am so happy you could join me, and I hope that you're as distracted by the lights as I am. First, we will talk about Silent Hill 4, The Room. First up, Silent Hill 4. I'm going to talk about the game's general plot and such. Unpopular opinion alert, may actually be my second favorite of the series. What? As a full game, Silent Hill 1 for me sits behind Silent Hill 2. But in terms of different direction and ideas and just kind of cool stuff, Silent Hill 4 has got a lot going for it. I really like this one. It's effing terrifying. It has unkillable ghosts and some pretty gnarly monsters. You play as Henry, and you wake up and you're suddenly locked in your apartment. Oh no! You can't get out! What's the deal with that? So, you eventually discover there is a hole in your bathroom that you can crawl through. When you do, you are transportationated to another world. And eventually, you make it to Silent Hill. The concept is just really fun and interesting. There's lots of different stuff, from the means of going in between to go back and forth in worlds. In your apartment, it's in first person. There's unkillable ghosts. There's hauntings that you have to deal with. There's a serial killer running around that can't be killed. So, if you recall, with these playthroughs, the clips that I'm going to show are not my clips. They're not mine. The credit to the playthroughs is in the description. I had to play Silent Hill 4 on PC because I no longer have the physical disc, and it's pretty nigh impossible to find unless you want to pay $1 bajillion. Which you don't want to do. pretty awesome game. Yes, the monsters are a little goofy. Yes, the writing isn't great. Yes, some of it's frustrating. Yes, the load times are annoying. Yes, there's no fog, really, except for like a forest level. There's no flashlight. What? There's a kind of annoying inventory system where you only have a number of slots and you have to go back and forth to your apartment and drop shit off Resident Evil style. Now, that wouldn't be that hard, or that crappy, but the load times to do it, as Henry will wake up every time you go back to his apartment from the previous other scary world, take forever, and you have to rewatch the friggin' wake up little cutscene every time, and then you have to go to your living room, find your magic box, and put all the shit in there. It's not fun in that regard. But another reason why I like this, it kind of steers clear of the baffling cult shit from 1 and 3. Now, there are allusions to it as the main antagonist, Walter Sullivan, the serial killer, apparently grew up in Wish House or Hope House, I forget, the orphanage run by the cult that's been sprinkled throughout the series. So Walter's deal is he was abandoned by his mother and father after birth in room 303 maybe? Like a room in the game The Room, and he's always looking for his mummy. The game has lots of cool world building stuff. You'll learn about Walter and the world through scraps of paper that are pushed under your door to your apartment. There are little peepholes that you can spy on Eileen with. Problematic, but she is hot, am I right? She can get it. Let's get it. Yeah, she's hot. Oh yeah, check it out. She's hot. You know it. You know it. Another thing I don't love about it is the main character Henry, while he is super handsome in a Dimitri Martin kind of way, he barely reacts in any fashion to what is going on around him. He seems perturbed, but it's weird. He'll see some girl get cut up in the face, he'd be like, or like dying and bleeding everywhere. Are you okay? That sucks. Yo. So anyway, Henry goes from world to world, meeting side characters and people that will eventually become victims of Walter Sullivan in what Walter is trying to achieve, the descent of the Holy Mother. I think he's trying to bring his mummy back. So the first level in, Henry meets the super hot Cynthia. She thinks this is a dream, and she totally wants to blow him. I'm on board. But it turns out, after going up and down, using tokens to get through turnstiles, turns out Cynthia's having a bad day. Are you okay?
Are you okay?
And you can see in her soon-to-be corpse a number carved into her chest. Now later, we learned that the numbers are actually a fraction, such as 15 out of 21 or whatever, instead of 15,121. And that's the total number of victims that Walter has to sacrifice or complete to complete the ritual. In the subway, you'll meet your first ghosts, which are awesome and scary. They make weird noises, they kind of just float around. You can't kill them, and they will endlessly pursue you. Eventually, you will get an amulet to ward off their spirit BO, and you'll get holy candles to combat the hauntings and infections in your apartment. And then you'll get swords, which cannot kill the ghosts, but they will pin them down in the environment. However, there are a limited number of these swords, so you gotta use them wisely. Oh, hello. You like it? Cool, me too. It's super comfortable. Next, we go to the forest, a very spooky level, which actually has the Hope Wish house there. Ooh. Now, on the way, you meet Jasper, who has some of the worst animation I've ever seen for these games. These games are generally graphical powerhouses when it comes to their respective systems, at least the first four. Looking at you, Homecoming, you piece of shit. But Jasper is quite garbage. Also, so in order to get him to help you, you need to give him some chocolate milk. Luckily, you got some in your fridge back home. I'll just hop in my hole and get there. Or when he receives the milk, Jasper has the biggest orgasm this side of the Mississippi. Also, this is where the terrible animation comes in. Is he drinking that?
Oh man, that was awesome.
Later, you'll go into the wish house and you'll find Jasper there, burning to death. Ooh, gruesome. And look, he's gotten more numbers carved into his body. One cool thing I noticed is that you'll retrieve health bottles to replenish your health throughout the game. But as long as your apartment is free of infection/hauntings, your apartment heals you. So a little strategicness is to stockpile your health and go back and forth and enjoy the lovely loading scenes. Once your apartment starts to go to hell, it's not going to heal you anymore. Later, there's monkeys and nurses and doll faces and weird shit going on. So as I mentioned, the world in the story is fleshed out by the little scraps of notebook you get there. It's a notebook from a man named Joseph, who lived in your apartment before you. He dead. He's super dead. Well, he just disappeared, but he's dead. But he left. He was a journalist who was investigating the weird happenings. And so he left you nice little clues behind. That's nice of him. Next level, water prison. I love this level. It might be because it's a prison, and you know how I love prisons. Or it might just be the fact that it's round. Cool. Also, the first appearance of Dollface. Blech! The side character in this guy is a janitor, manager, or something who used to work at the prison. Now, it turns out this is a prison for children. Those little shits probably kicked the back of the car seat. And that'll earn them a nice little stay in the water prison. Some kids are peeing their beds. There's always someone, when you're in the cells, there always appears to be someone that's watching. Very, very neat. Real cool puzzle in this. The whole prison and all the floors can be rotated to eventually line up a big old hole that you jump down to get to the end. You get to the death room and DeSalvo is floating in a pool of decrepit water. What? Is this where I'm losing some of you? Too much? Not enough. Never enough. Da-bomb! Take him back. Exterior apartment building level. This one's kind of boring. You're just outside of your own apartment, and there's monkeys afoot. Now, the person this time is a neighbor of your next door neighbor, Eileen, who, remember, is super hot. And he is a gun nut, and he's kind of a dick.
Ouch! Damn it.
He likes to chase little baby Walter, who's running around all these levels. So this is our first sword, and we learn how they work. Fun mechanic. Yeah. Also, he's electrocuted to death, very hilariously. Next up is the inside of the apartment building. You're in your own building now. Doopity doopy. I'm really focused here. Now he sees a man knocking on room 303. It's his apartment building, but it looks pretty rough. I remember this level being particularly scary. You're going from apartment to apartment, and it's really claustrophobic, and the ghosts are chasing you the whole time. You see the little boy knocking on the door, and he disappears like a ghost. Could that be Walter? Could I have already said that earlier? Go to a staircase, and you find the weird dude who was outside Eileen's just sitting there, talking weirdly. Back at the apartment, the mystery thickens. You meet the superintendent. So he's a friggin' weirdo, and you learn that once the baby was found, he kept the umbilical cord for some weird sex stuff. Just kidding. There's no implied sex stuff. He just couldn't bear to throw it out or something, even though the game repeatedly insists that it smells like shit. It's just stinky. Henry's gotta burn those shoes, am I right? Finally, he finds a key to Eileen's place. Cha-ching! Time to see what she's up to. Finally get there, and the little boy is standing over Eileen, and she is carved to shite. Oh no. Is this the untimely end of Eileen? So she's all cut up, and Henry is upset. He wakes up at home, and there's an ambulance at his apartment building, presumably carrying Eileen away.
Walter Sullivan copycat. Round 3, huh?
Well, they never got the scumbag behind round 2 a few years back. Maybe it's the same guy.
I love the cop's voice. Hey, you scumbag. Let's talk like this because we're cops. Oh no, now the hole is blacked. With each dead body, we found a plate, which emplaced in the wall is a succubus talisman or something. It opens up a new hole in the wall. Henry awakens in the hospital and sees the long-haired guy digging into a corpse. He runs away and the long-haired guy chases him, but that's the end of that. He doesn't chase you any further. Henry finds the coolest weapon in the game. Eileen's purse! I think I would like that at this point. This is where we first meet the super tall nurse monsters who would be scary, but they just burp when you hit them, so it's really silly and takes you out. Now, a real people nurse seems to have lost Eileen's key. People are terrible at keys in this game. I do really miss the flashlight and the radio. The noise and the lighting added a lot to the scariness and the overall atmosphere. Wheelchairs! I guess it's really smelly in the hospital. There's lots of weird rooms with weirdness that are not scary, just like weird stuff happening. So we find Eileen, who's pretty messed up, and Henry's first instinct is to choke her.
Eileen, relax!
Despite this act of aggression, she decides to join him because he's all she's got. Now it's an escort mission. She's very slow and very hurt, but you give her that purse and she starts whacking off all those monsters. She's got burpees to bag. Tries to take her through the hole, but she can't traverse through the worlds. That would have been nice. Eventually, we meet back up with Eileen, and Henry explains the nonsense to her. And she's like, alright, sounds good. So now comes the time of the game when we start to revisit old worlds, and we're going down the spiral. Ooh, a very cool concept where we'll find multiple holes as we continue down the spiral of darkness, and there's fog in it. Very sweet. So I remember retreading the old worlds being annoying as a kid. Just the fact that you have to go through every single world again. Sure, they're a little different, but it's still annoying. One thing that helps me with this scaries is constantly opening my map, so that I don't have to actually look at the game. I can just look at the map and get my bearings. Back home, finally some hauntings. The TV will be on, stuff will shake, stuff will break, there'll be cracks in the wall, there'll be mold. If you let it get bad enough, monsters will crawl out of the wall. So as you retread these levels, the victims from the previous time through become ghost enemies and special ghost enemies that do special stuff, and it's really cool. Eventually, the long-haired man, who is Walter Sullivan in some way, chases you throughout the game, and he cannot be killed, he just chases you. Luckily, he's not great at chasing you or hurting you, he's just kind of there to add some suspense. Now, from time to time, Eileen will pipe up and say something, which is appropriate. Hey, this is scary. Hey, what's going on? Harry doesn't really say anything. He's so mysterious and so handsome. Back at the Forest Wish House level, Eileen can read the magical writing on the rocks.
Here goes.
Here goes. Here goes.
Here goes.
Here goes. Here goes.
Here goes.
Eventually, we reach the end. The last boss fight is like going into a womb to stop Walter before he can complete the ritual. He has the last two victims he needs to complete it, Eileen and Henry. You can't hurt Walter yet. You have to impale the conjurer with the tridents before he becomes vulnerable, which is a cool concept, but after that, it just sort of turns into a lame shooting match. Like Henry will just stand there, and Walter will just stand there, and they'll shoot each other many, many, many times. Sometimes Walter does a sweet spin move. I guess that part's cool. But eventually you kill him. And hopefully fast enough before Eileen can walk into the Game of Thrones Ouroboros. Because if you don't, she dies. The ending itself is kind of dumb. Henry visits Eileen in the hospital and it's all hunky-dory. In the bad one, he just is sad that she's dead. And I think there's a couple other ones too, but I don't remember. Again, cool that there are multiple endings. According to the games, 3 days later, Eileen healed super quick. Henry's got some flowers! Apparently Silent Hill 4 didn't do too well. After that, the team kind of went their own way to do their own thing, and the series went to shit. Until PT came around. However, thanks to Konami, with your pachinkos, also shit the bed there, and it never came out. It was canceled. To the sadness of the internet. And that, my friends, was Silent Hill 4. It's time for Silent Hill 2. My favorite. restless dreams. I see that town. Silent Hill. Yes. Silent Hill 2. Often revered in conversations of one of the greatest video games ever, and rightfully so. It was one of a kind at its time, tackling some very serious themes of euthanasia, family sexual abuse, adoption, fatherhood, being a good husband, bullying, scary monsters, jumping into holes, you know, those classic tropes. Now, I love Silent Hill 2. It is my favorite. I've played it countless times. And I'm not going to say anything that hasn't been said, just like always, but I am going to talk about how much I love it. Let's take a journey back to Silent Hill. So, our protagonist, James, his wife Mary died 3 years ago, yet he gets a letter from Mary. Ba-ba-bum! What the shit?
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then, why am I looking for her? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
Yes. Perhaps she's really alive after all. So, she's waiting for him where they had one of their favorite vacations ever as a couple, Silent Hill. And so he takes the trek over there, knowing that he must be going crazy because she's dead. But the loss and the love is real. So he heads there anyway. It's a long walk to town. On the way, he meets Angela Orozco, who warns him about the town, saying it's weird, there's stuff there, you might get hurt. But he doesn't give a shit. He's gonna find Mary, whether she likes it or not. So you make a traversal through town trying to find Mary, finding clues, various sayings or things, and puzzles happen. And you make it to an apartment building, which is super spooky. The first time I played this, I was terrified going through it the whole time. It's dark, there's fog, you have the flashlight. At first you don't even have the flashlight, so it's just dark as shit. You're like, ah! And this is actually the first time we meet Ceres' scapegoat, Pyramid Head. Now, Pyramid Head, as with all the monsters, are, or at least most of them, are thematically linked to James. Pyramid Head, as we later learn, is an executioner from when the town, back when the town was a prison town in the 1800s. But for James, Pyramid Head serves as a judgment figure. And the straitjacket guys are maybe James's feeling trapped at the situation with Mary. The nurses are his repressed sexual urges. The doormen, flat guys, are actually, I think, representative of when Angela's dad used to crawl into bed and rape her. Ugh. And I think there's a couple other monsters, but I don't really remember. There's bosses and stuff too, but... So you meet Laura, who's a snot-nosed little kid. What's she doing in there? Why isn't she scared? Then we meet Eddie, and his barfing is super aggressive. Can you give that a flush, buddy? Just flush it!
I swear I didn't kill anybody.
Something just brought you here, right?
Flush it! And we find Angela, and she's holding a knife. Could she be contemplating suicide? Yes, she is, or something. So, James takes the knife from her and has it for safekeeping. Or maybe he wants to use it himself. She blames herself for what happened. But everyone that is in Silent Hill, except for maybe Laura, the little girl, has their own demons. And that's what's so great about this game. It's not so much focused on the cult stuff. It envisions Silent Hill as a place that people are summoned to possibly answer for their sins or find redemption. Very awesome thematic shit. Yes, the infamous Pyramid Head rape scene. I remember being like, what? When I first watched it, but this time he kind of just wiggles weirdly. It's very wiggly while James kind of jacks off in the closet.
What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
What's that letter?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name?
After the apartment building and all that jazz, you go to the lakeside park where you meet Maria. Whoa, aside from her hair, her clothes, she could be Mary's twin. But, she's not Mary, is she? She's there to toy with James and make him horny and fill the hole that Mary left. But over the course of the game, she will die! Repeatedly! In front of James! To remind him that he may or may not have some shit to answer for. It's cool how they all perceive the town in a different way. Eddie sees people laughing at him. James sees, what the player sees. Angela, you find out later, sees the world is in flames. Because I think, actually, not only did she kill her father, she might have burned the house down. It's tragic, it's awesome, it's a great game. All the themes fascinated me as a angsty teen. When this came out, I was 15? Yes, I think I was 15, and they still resonate today. Pizza Man in the house, fool! Yes, classic Pizza Man. The combat is clunky as shit, which kind of makes sense though, because Henry's just, a normal dude. And it kind of shows some restraint. In 3, in terms of like normal weaponry and like abilities. In 3, she gets a friggin' sword and a machine gun. 4, I guess, is more normal. You really only get like 1 or 2 guns, and the rest is just melee weapon. Silent Hill 2 isn't ugly, unless it wants to be. The grittiness is cool. The grittiness lends to its scariness. And that's half the fear, because you don't know what the frig you're looking at. One thing that didn't age too well is the camera. It's a nightmare. Every character is just a little bit off, and they seem to know something about James that they shouldn't. Eventually, you learn that Laura was in the hospital with Mary when she was sick. And if Mary was going to get better, she was even going to adopt Laura. And as an innocent child, Laura doesn't even see the monsters. She just sees an empty town. Fascinating! Eventually, you head to the hotel. Well, there's lots of stuff. Eventually, you head to the hotel, and if you look at the letter from Mary, at this point, you see that it's blank. I feel delicious. So, it turns out Henry didn't really die 3 years ago. Laura just talked to her the other day. So, the popular theory is that... Oh, I won't get there yet. The first time the world turns into hell mode is awesome. There's a transition, and it goes... And I think it happens in the hospital. And it goes from normal world to hell world. Another thing Silent Hill 4 didn't have. Silent Hill 4's worlds were already just weird looking. But this one maintains the series cliche? The series thing of changing from normal with monsters, so normal world to hellish, grated, rusty, peeling, decrepit, scary hell world. And it's awesome. game is definitely a slow burn. It's a lonely and thoughtful experience. Always one of the best. The game really starts to get incredible once things go dark. Historical Society and find out about Pyramid Head. You go down a super long staircase as you're descending into madness. It's Snake Eater style long. I mean, it's like that ladder. It's going on forever. The music, the sounds, the music, the enemies, everything about this game is awesome. Eventually, as James's mind deteriorates, he just starts jumping through impossible holes. He ends up in an old prison, which is probably the scariest level.
You killed him?
He had it coming. I didn't do anything. He just came after me. Besides, he was making fun of me with his eyes.
Eddie, you can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
Oh yeah? Why not? Till now I always let people walk all over me.
There's just noises everywhere. You don't even find the map right away. You know, I love to look at that map. And there's monsters everywhere. It's claustrophobic. There's noises. Things are spooking out at you. You just keep going down and down as James's mind slowly breaks. Eventually, he even has to jump through a hole that is his own grave. The game's full of little touches. When you move the flashlight around, James will move his head around. The shadows from the lighting are great. They're all real time. The labyrinth level after the prison was always the scariest for me. It's kind of just generates as you go along. There's puzzles and there's no map other than what you've already traversed.
Pizza Man, defender of cheese.
Yeah, Pyramid Head is just chasing you down in the sewers of the labyrinth. Ooh, all you can do is weep. Although playing it this time was definitely less scary. Part of the labyrinth level is finding Maria once again, who is, so far, been stabbed to death in the hospital. She beckons him to join her in the labyrinth.
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So, you're Maria?
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Come and get me. I can't do anything through these bars.
Okay. Stay right there. I'll be there soon.
But when he finally gets there, it turns out she's been choked to death. You fight Angela's dad's boss, which is very easy, but also very cool, and she throws a TV at him.
Daddy, please don't!
Are you okay?
But Angela's got some trauma because she knows that men are all the same, even though James thinks that's ridiculous.
After one thing.
No, that's not true at all.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead and say it. Or you could just force me. Beat me up like you always did. You only care about yourself anyway. You disgusting pig. He was dead, right?
Yes, she was ill.
Liar! I know about you. You didn't want her around anymore. You probably found someone else.
That's ridiculous. I never...
James even has to kill Eddie because Eddie thinks that James is laughing at him for killing it and bullying him for having killed a bunch of people. Eddie says, James, you and me are the same. And James is like, no, but then he kills him. And James is really upset that he's killed a human being.
Ass, you're nothing but a waste of skin. You're so ugly, even your mama don't love you. Well, maybe he was right. Maybe I am nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead. And the corpse can't laugh. From now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill him. Just like that.
Eddie, have you gone nuts?
I knew it. You too. You're just like him, James.
Hey, I didn't mean anything.
Don't bother. I understand. You've been laughing at me all along, haven't you? Ever since we first met. I'll kill you, James! Do you know what it does to you, James? When you're hated, picked on, spit on, just because of the way you look, after you've been laughed at your whole friggin' life. That's why I ran away after I killed the dog. Ran away like a scared little girl. Yeah, I killed that dog. It was fun. It tried to chew its own guts up. Finally died all curled up in a ball. Then he came after me. I shot him too, right in the leg. He cried more than the dog. He's gonna have a hard time playing football on what's left of that knee.
You think it's okay to kill people? You need help, Eddie.
Don't get all holy on me, James. This town called you too. You and me are the same. We're not like other people. Don't you know that? Let's party!
Eddie? I killed a human being. A human being. Mary. Did you really die 3 years ago?
We finally make it to the hotel where James finds Laura, and she has a letter from Mary. Mary writes about Laura's upcoming birthday, and James finds out how old Laura is. But if she's that old, then Mary could have only died very recently.
I turned 8 last week.
So, Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really be here?
When you finally make it to their hotel room, you put in the VHS tape that began the game, and you finally learn that James killed Mary.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful. You know what I heard? This whole area used to be a sacred place. I think I can see why. It's too bad we have to leave. Please promise you'll take me again, James.
Big reveal, shocking, I never saw it coming. It is so awesome and so well done. He sits there in his misery while Laura yells at him and hits him and tells him that Mary was always waiting for him.
So there you are, James. Did you get the letter? Did you find Mary? If not, let's get going already, okay?
Laura. Mary's gone. She's dead.
Liar, that's a lie!
No, that's not true.
She died because she was sick?
No, I killed her.
You killer! Why'd you do it? I hate you! I want her back! Give her back to me! I knew it! You didn't care about her! I hate you, James! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! She was always waiting for you. Why? Why?
I'm sorry. The Mary you know isn't here. Laura, I'm sorry.
As he sits there, as the snow on the TV plays, Mary calls out to him, saying, James, James, come get me, I'm here. Giving James one final push to the end game.
That voice.
The hotel is a really cool level with some neat puzzles and a lot of scariness. Once the hotel turns into hell, it's flooded and looks like there was a fire there. Very cool. It's there that we learn the truth about Angela's world as she ascends her flaming staircase and when James finally notices the flames, she says for her, it's always like that.
Thank you for saving me. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
No, don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me. Will you love me? Take care of me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought. James, give me back that knife.
No, I won't.
Saving it for yourself?
Me? No, I'd never kill myself. It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
As James approaches the finale, he comes face to face with two pyramid heads. They skewer, impale, whatever, I don't know. They wreck the shit out of Maria. And depending on the ending you get, James realizes that he doesn't need her and that it's time to move on. So he kicks the pyramid head's ass. Not so much, they kind of killed themselves. And he walks down the game's final hallway as he listens to Mary's voiceover.
Are you still here? I told you to go. Are you deaf? Don't come back. James, wait. Please don't go. Stay with me. Don't leave me alone. I didn't mean what I said. Please, James. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
On top of the decrepit hotel, you finally find Mary. But it's not Mary. It's Silent Hill punishing James. And James, depending on your ending, is not having any of that shit. She turned into a hospital bedridden monster demon bitch, and you have to fight her. And finally, as she calls your name, you put her out of her misery. All the endings are awesome. I think I read that the water ending is canon. It's internet's theory that James really just has Mary's body in the trunk after he killed her, and he drives off a cliff into the water, killing himself.
Mary?
James.
Forgive me.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not the whole truth. You also said that you didn't want to die. The truth is, part of me hated you for taking away my life.
You killed me, and you're suffering for it. It's enough, James.
Without you, Mary, I've got nothing. Now we can be together.
That's the first one I got as a kid, because if you look at the knife that Angel gets you, or you read the diary on the roof of the hospital that I think is about suicide, if you do either of those two things, which I did because I'm an explorer and I like to look at stuff, you automatically get the water ending. Now, to get the good ending, which is the leave ending, you don't do either of that, and you don't spend much time with Maria, and you let her get hurt a little. And in that case, Mary has a final speech letter to James telling him to go live his life, and that he made her happy, and he leaves town with Laura. Even the Maria ending is cool. That's if you protect Maria, spend a lot of time with her. You leave the town with Maria, James having made his choice, but the final scene as she gets into James's car is she starts coughing, so he is doomed to live through the misery of the sickness again. On the second playthrough, you can collect various artifacts to complete a sacred ritual of the town to presumably resurrect Mary's dead body. So that's a cool little ending too. This game is awesome. I love it. Everyone loves it. Not everyone, but a lot of people love it. And where's the friggin' merchandise, people? I know there's like nurse statues and Pyramid Head is all up in everyone's underwear, but I could deal with some action figures, am I right? That'd be freaking sweet. I'm a toy guy. I want some toys over here. You give me some freaking toys. Why not? Silent Hill 2 was a critical darling, and it's widely considered the best of the franchise and one of the top games for PS2, and it's easy to me to see why. The music, the graphics, the story. I like that the town is created by the minds of whoever's in it. Like in Silent Hill 1, Alessa's mind creates the world and the monsters. In Silent Hill 2, the characters' minds all create the world that they see. Silent Hill 2 is about James coming to terms with not only the loss of his wife, but the guilt of killing her, and depending on the ending, it's either too much for him to handle, like in the water, or he'd rather live a lie, like the Maria ending, or he can move on, which is the leave ending. Mary wanted to die, but was scared. James suffered and wanted his life back. Just all around, almost perfect, and feels like a game for grown-up people. And when I was a sad little 15-year-old, I wanted to be a grown-up too. So Konami, get off your derrieres and frickin' remake this game with modern graphics. I'll do it. Let me do it. You've seen the special effects that I do around here. they're real cool and obviously up to the standards of PlayStation 5. We did it! That's our show! Thank you for taking a trip down memory lane to some of my favorite games of my youth, and a trip down Halloweenies lane in some of my old Halloween costumes. Good times. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe and consider donating to my Patreon. Here is my social media bullshit. And as always, thank you. I love you. Thank you for watching Corzeons. Next time we'll be talking War for Cybertron figures. I actually remembered it this time, so I don't need to dub myself. But we'll be talking Transformers War for Cybertron. The Netflix series is action figures, which may or may not be Beast Wars figures, really. So, thank you once again. Welcome to Season 2. I wonder, will we ever see Corbett again? What's in store for Corey this year? Oh my. You stay silly out there, folks. Cha-ching! Yakapoo me! My eye has fused to my face. Why do you love me? I got a letter. The name on the envelope said, Corey, you've won $1 million. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. I keep telling myself that. An illegal Canadian immigrant can't sign up for a contest only open to local U.S. residents of the 48 contiguous states.